Hey guys, Sean here. Thanks to everyone who tunes into the Play It Up podcast. We really love doing this podcast and really appreciate everyone who listens. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram by searching for Play It Up Podcast. You can find the full video podcast on YouTube, and you can listen to us on Spotify, Apple and Google Podcasts, Anchor, and more. If you want to ask us a question, you can do so on Anchor, and your question will be featured on the podcast. If you like what we do, please remember to like, review, comment, follow or subscribe, and please recommend us to your friends. Thanks guys, and enjoy the episode.
Okay, welcome to another episode of Play It Up Podcast. I'm your host, Neil Cant, and tonight with us we have Dennis. Dennis, how are you tonight?
Hey Neil, how are you, sir? I am very well, thank you. Been sort of busy practicing for Kong Off and a couple of other things, so yeah, keeping myself in trouble.
Oh, that's good, man. And we've also got Mike Culligan. Mike, how are you tonight?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Not too bad. Cruising along, doing the usual. Yeah,
Fantastic.
enjoying games every now and then. How about yourself? How are you going?
Yeah, been a bit sick lately, actually. So yeah, just getting over a bit of a cold. Did the whole COVID test and all that jazz, but yeah, it's just lingering at the moment. I can't get rid of it.
Frustrating. There are ones going around. It's annoying, isn't it? You just can't shake them.
Really annoying. That's it, man. Yeah, so it's chewed up my leave, that's for sure. So yeah, hopefully I'll be back in right shortly. So yeah, let's get into it, Dennis. What have you been up to lately?
Well, as mentioned, mate, with AKO 4 coming up, there's been a bit of practice on this machine here next to me, trying to jump barrels and not get killed by fireballs and all that sort of fun stuff. Yeah, been sort of playing a little bit. I've been getting closer to where my PB was. So my personal best at the moment is 311k on Donkey Kong, and nice. Which it's okay. But I'm kind of worried that the lead up to Kong Off 4, whether or not it's even going to qualify. So I need to put some practice in. I do at least want to try and qualify if I can. So yeah, just been doing a little bit of that. Something else that has come up was a project cab, which I think we've spoken about a little bit off air, Neil, was that I was lucky enough to pick up a rare Nintendo cab, and so that's been occupying my time doing a restoration on it and trying to order everything to complete the project. Yeah.
Was it a Helifire cab?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah. Helifire. It's a rare cabinet and also an even rarer PCB. So Nintendo, obviously, everything I seem to do is Nintendo. It was released in 1980, so it was pre Donkey Kong. And
wow.
Helifire was released around the same time as Radar Scope, which for our listeners out there in podcast land, if you don't really know anything about Nintendo games of that era, that excuse me, that games like Radar Scope were released by Nintendo in the early 1980s to try and break into the market in America and start getting a bit of a toehold in the arcade scene, obviously with Space Invaders kicking things up a notch. And as John mentioned a couple of podcasts ago, that Space Invaders was everywhere. It was in every arcade and every shop, and so Nintendo wanted a piece of that and started releasing games. And at that point, there were a lot of space shooters, and Radar Scope was one of them. I think Nintendo had a few others as well, with Space Firebird and also Space Fever, which I have a cocktail cap of behind me.
Yeah, man. Getting a sweet Nintendo collection happening, that's for sure.
Yeah, I know. One at a time, yeah. So when Radar Scope was released, it didn't do particularly well in the United States, and so there are a lot of unsold cabinets that Nintendo had in their HQ from what I'd read. So without these machines being sold, they were sitting there sort of not doing a lot. And I think Helifire was another one of those that was released at the same time, which didn't do particularly well. But what did do well was when Donkey Kong was released. And so all of those existing cabinets were converted to Donkey Kong. which is what makes Radar Scope and Helifire and games of that vintage so rare now. But the ones that weren't converted were the ones that were sold, and there wasn't many sold. So, as you'd expect, not a lot of those out in the wild, even less so in Australia. So, when I saw one,
Australia.
yeah, well, we never really got the Nintendo cabs in Australia. We had LAI cabs, and so anything that was released in Australia, Leisure and Allied Industries tended to release it in their own cabinets, and so we never really had the American ones. And part of the reason why I went and did the build on the Donkey Kong here was because it was so unique to me, because I'd never really had the chance to see or play on one before until Kong Off 3. So yeah, I wanted to build one.
Yeah.
Yes. So mate, a project cab, this Helifire cab, which is actually like right behind me at the moment, had come up, and so I jumped on that, and it was for sale in Rockhampton, where my wife, her parents live up there. So my parents-in-law, and they were nice enough to store the cab for me for a couple of months until we were able to make the trip up there, and so that was a bit over a month ago now. So just been chipping away and doing a few little cosmetic things and trying to do a restore on the cab, in trying to bog up a few of the damaged sides of the cab, and stripping everything back, repainting where I can, and spending ridiculous amounts of money on factory parts to try and get it back to original.
Yeah.
There wasn't much that was left on it that was original. So trying to find all of the marquee side art, because with Helifire, though, I didn't realize that it never actually was released with side art, even though in the artwork, the flyers for the product when it came out, it had side art. So
yeah, right.
It was one gentleman in the United States, I think on Clov, he goes by the username TimeRunner88. He vectorized a side art for this cabinet, even though it had never actually been created from our understanding. And so the good folks at thisoldgame.com in Iowa, I think, had the graphics for that, and also the marquee. So I've got marquee, I've got the bezel, which is in the machine, and also now side art. But I've still got to try and find a control panel, and not having a lot of luck at the moment. So it's a work in progress, mate. Chipping away at it.
Yeah,
So,
sure. Hey, I'm just interested. The person that you purchased it from, were they able to shed some light as to how such a rare cab ended up in some family house in Rockhampton?
yeah, well, it looked like it was underneath his place in Rocky. I don't really think he was too aware of the machine that he had, and when I got it, this cabinet, this Helifire cab, is a red cab, so a really rare red cab, and the shape was a pre-Donkey Kong shape. So these cabs look very similar to the Donkey Kong that you'll see here, but instead of the cutaways like you can see here, and so for those who are listening on the podcast, that the Donkey Kong machine, the sides of the cabinet run almost vertically straight down, and then there's a small taper that comes out to where the speaker panel and control panel are. Now, the early Rev Nintendo cabs actually didn't have that. They had a straight line that went straight from the speaker panel right up to where the marquee is, and so it was a straight line, and they weren't a lot produced, because if you're watching somebody play, that extra bit of timber would get in the way, and so you wouldn't be able to see what anybody's actually doing on the screen, because there was a little bit of extra timber, and so you couldn't see around. So not as popular in arcades, and Nintendo made a small adjustment in the cabs that we know and love now, and that's what became the classic sort of quintessential Nintendo cab shape.
Yeah, right.
Here, so
well, that's going to look awesome when you have it up and running, right next to the DK one. So
yeah, yeah, exactly. I can go for the big three. I'd really love to have a a Donkey Kong Jr. and a Donkey Kong 3 cab, and
Okay.
just have all three of those cabs in a line in my little arcadey sort of room down here would be fantastic. But a guy can dream. Helifire, I guess that I never really considered when I bought the cab whether or not I was actually going to keep it or not. But one thing I did want to do was save it. When you mentioned before, mate, like whether or not the seller actually hadn't much of an idea. Based on the condition of the cab, I don't think he did, because there are no markings on it to actually denote that it's a Nintendo cab. You don't know unless you actually have the experience looking at those cabs to understand and go, that shape is familiar. And so
Yeah.
I think he just needed it gone, and he wanted it gone as quickly as possible. And I think what was my saving grace was that, like I said, I had family up there, so they were able to pick it up for us the next day. And whereas a lot of people were trying to organise freight from either interstate or from Brisbane, and the guy just sort of didn't really want the fuss, from what I could tell, and just wanted to move it on. So
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, mate, I managed to strike it lucky and get myself something extremely rare. And I think to this point, there's between maybe 5 to 7 cabs, Helifire cabs worldwide. So
Wow.
it's extremely rare, and so I want to do it justice by doing a good restore on it and try and get it back as close to original condition as we can. So
Yep.
yeah, sparing no expense, Neil, and I'm starting to feel it financially because of it, but it'll be worth it in the end, 100%.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So you're currently painting it at the moment, is that correct?
Yeah, trying to do color matching on the existing what they call gel coat.
Mhm.
So
And
gel
before
coat.
that, Dennis, you had to strip it back. Wasn't there another color on top as well? You were stripping it back.
Yeah,
Oh,
100%,
whoa. What a job.
100%, Mike. It was so they had this ugly green paint on the sides of the cab and left the front red, so it looked like this dirty big toffee apple of a cab. It's really weird. So yeah, stripping that back with a little cleaning agent and some magic eraser, which is a mildly abrasive product, which is really ideal for stripping off paint like that. So, mate, I guess, spent the better part of a week just chipping away, well, not physically chipping, but stripping away the sides of the cab back to the original red. And I wanted to do that before making the decision whether or not to completely redo the cab, or whether the sides were going to be in a good enough condition to leave it as the original gel coat, because I wanted to try and retain it as close to original shape and form as I could. And if the sides were okay, I was happy to leave it like that. But unfortunately, there was too much damage. I stripped it back, and I think that horrible green paint did hide quite a few imperfections and dings and scratches and chips and all sorts of stuff in each side. And so yeah, unfortunately, I've had to go and color match the gel coat on the sides of the cabinet, and I just had it color matched a couple of days ago at Dulux, and so they managed to do an enamel for me, which is 99%, I think.
Yep.
The funny thing about trying to color match this when the cabinet itself is 40 years old is trying to match that color exactly on what looks to be a really faded and aged color. When you put a new vibrant color on that is color matched to the undertones and whatever of the paint that you've sampled, it's really unnerving, because it looks all bright and vibrant, and then you look at the sides of the cab and it kind of looks a little faded and drab, and so it's a little bit nervy. But ultimately, after my setting time today, because I painted the coin door panel and the speaker panel yesterday and let it set overnight, and took it outside today into the sun. And I might have messaged you guys with some photos. I can't remember now. There's a couple of people I messaged for some opinions on it, and it turned out really well. It looks really bright and beautiful. So
yeah, nice. Yeah, good on you, man.
So almost sorry, matey, almost there to the point where we can start putting all of the guts back together again. Just a bit more touching up and patching on the sides, a quick paint, and we are ready for everything to go in. So hopefully some photos in the next couple of weeks to let you know how it's all going.
Yeah, you beaut. Yeah, look forward to it, Dennis. Yeah.
All right. So yeah, Dennis, with the Helifire cab, with the control panel, you said it's pretty rare, pretty hard to come by. What are your what's the plans to possibly get a control panel for it? And what's the control panel like as well? What are the buttons, the joystick? What's the setup?
Man, that's what to do with the control panel? That is a good question, sir. So the control panel, because the game is so rare that trying to get a hold of Vector Graphics to be able to either recreate a control panel or actually even order a control panel overlay from somewhere is extremely difficult. Mike's Arcade, who I'd normally get most of my stuff from, don't have it. This Old Game, who I ordered all the other stuff from, unfortunately, they don't have it either. The only thing that I've been able to source is a couple of people from the States I've been in touch with through different channels have offered to sell me their spare kits for the control panel, but unfortunately they're pretty exy. They're like 800 US that they want the control panel sets for, and mate, so the PCB was less than that, and the amount that I paid for the cab was less than that. I don't have the cash to splash to get an original control panel set, unfortunately, for that. So that means that I'm going to have to go and recreate. One thing that I kind of have going for us at the moment, being the internet age that we live in, is that we have access to a few photos and a few resources of what the control panel sort of looks like. So it actually uses cocktail cabinet buttons, which are used on the Nintendo cocktail cabs here, and they're a sort of smaller round, maybe like a 20 mil sort of concentric sort of button that, little spring loaded.
Are they generally white colored as well? Is that?
They're typically red or green.
Oh, red.
I think from
right.
So Space Fever has red push buttons on it, and I have the little push buttons, but I don't have the mech or the assembly to go with it and to finish the job. And so it's been pretty hard to try and get a hold of any reproductions of those at the moment, mate. So the 8-way joystick, I've got a reproduction of that just arrived from Mike today, which was pretty cool, and a few other cables and bits and pieces to finish up the electrical side, which is the electronic side, which is great. But yeah, the control panel itself, I'll try and get some photos off the internet of the cab with the control panel square on, and try and vectorize those photos so that I can recreate them as like a flat template. And then here's to hoping I'd be able to get that printed and recreated and get the Perspex control panel overlay cover on top to match that. And mate, if I can do that, then we're all good. But it's kind of like just another thing that I didn't really bank on when I started this journey of restoring the cab. I guess I was a little naive in the sense that I just thought that with classic arcade restorers around the world that this information would be available online, but there is quite a lot of it that actually isn't. And so it's been quite interesting. I think that if I get the chance, I'm going to scan and try and vectorize and make everything available digitally. So if someone does have to go through this later on, that all of this is going to be available digitally, and for I think historic purposes, probably a good thing too as well. So yeah, trying to sort of finish the cab and do that at the same time. So
yeah, nice.
Again, next few weeks we'll be very busy with it. So I want to have that ready for BPAC, but yeah, fingers crossed. See how we go.
Yeah, man. Ooh. Sounds like you've got a fair bit on your hands there for that one.
It's good fun.
Yeah.
Spacey's Cafe and Arcade in Toowoomba kindly sponsors the Play It Up podcast. If you are ever in or near Toowoomba, we think you're crazy if you don't give them a visit. Spacey's has loads of arcade and pinball machines, retro consoles, and even air hockey. They have an excellent selection of food and drinks for the whole family, and have some great beers on tap. Spaceys is open Wednesday through Sunday, and you can check them out on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with the awesome events they have going on there. Spaceys is located at 2 Club Lane in Toowoomba. Take a trip back to the 80s with Spaceys.
So, yeah, that's pretty much what I've been up to on my end. Mike, what about yourself, mate? What have you been up to?
Oh man, not
Mate.
gaming a whole lot, but but still getting some quality game time in when I can fit it in. Yeah, been pretty busy lately. Like going back to oh my god, it feels like it's been a long time since we talked about what we've been playing. So I'm trying to think back to what we were doing. So going back to I think it was December last year when we had like a little what's your goals for 2021 question from I think it was from Johnny in the Q&A.
Mhm.
And so one of the things was get the Midnight Resistance cabinet up and running again. So get my arcade cabinet working again, because the PCB was being a bit dicky in the last couple of years, and it was only showing background sprites and nothing else, or sometimes just foreground but just background, but no actually animated sprites that were moving on the screen. So Neil G'd me up, and he was off to visit Adam Lee Kaizen a few weeks back, and Neil's like, mate, just pull your PCB out, we'll take it to him and just let him have a look at it, have a tinker, see what's going on. So Neil came over before we headed over. Neil pulled out the PCB for me, and we rolled over to Adam's place, dropped it off, and Neil had a bunch of PCBs for Adam to look at too, which got tested on the night, which is pretty sick.
Yeah,
some were working, some there was some some things identified on some of the PCBs. But yeah, so that got that little step underway. So my PCB is out of the arcade cabinet, and it's currently being looked at by Adam when he gets the time to chuck it into his backlog and have a go through and see what it's why it's displaying what it's displaying.
Yeah,
that's good, mate. It's in the
And
queue, so he'll get there definitely.
Yeah, sure.
That's it.
We were lucky. We were lucky enough to go upstairs to play the his last Starfighter
Holy cow.
arcade cab. So that was really cool.
Yeah. We're hoping to see that as a bit of a feature or a showcase in BPAC. So if Adam is able to get that on in a truck or to the event undamaged, because I know that it's his baby, and I don't think that he'd want so much as a mark on it, but I know that he's also happy to show it off too. So
it's immaculate. It is immaculate.
I know. Oh my God. The detail that he's gone to on that thing is incredible. So I'm just hoping that we can see it at BPAC and put some photos on Insta.
Yeah. So just for the listeners out there, Adam Kaizen's like he's our local tech, really. So he does all of our board repair and stuff, and one of his projects that he had out there was to recreate the last Starfighter cabinet from the movie. So it's not an original cab. It's actually just a one that he's produced himself from details of the movie. So
I think it was only a concept cab, if anything, on forums, Neil, and nobody had made one, to my understanding. So Adam, being Adam, the sort of pretty handy sort of fella he is, went, okay, well, I'll make one then. And he sort of went from there and did everything. And I think the amount of detail that he's gone to on that thing, like all of the little LEDs that he's got on the control panel there as well, like he's programmed some random blinking intervals into those things, so that you sit there playing the cab and these little LEDs on the head up or on the instrument panel there sort of blink while you're playing. It's like the wildest thing, man. It's so cool.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. And I believe the actual game he got, like someone actually developed the game, or like three people went to work and got a lot of the imagery from the movies and actually created a game for it as well. So it's very sorry for interrupting there, Mike.
No,
that's all right.
Sorry, Mike.
It's an absolute talking piece, that machine he's made. It's it's very special. It's
Yeah.
one of a kind, literally. It's one of a kind. It's
Yeah,
pretty
that's
crazy.
it.
Oh, so yeah, so going back to the goals for 2021. What year are we in? Yeah, 2021.
Yeah,
Still
yeah.
in 2021. Yeah,
Yeah,
for a while.
was to build my Gallagher score up this year. So the current PB for Gallagher is 1.3 million roundabouts, and I want to
Wow.
break that in. I want to push to get to 1.5 million, which is my next goal, and then I want to get to level 256, which on the Cab at Netherworld, I believe that's going to be a kill screen because I think it's difficulty B or A or C. Yeah, it's difficulty A or C. So it'll mean level 256 will be a kill screen, and that's the goal. Then the goal past that for Gallagher is going to be 6.7 million points to take down Barra, Andrew Barrow's house score at Netherworld, which is
right.
it's
Mate.
it's a long way off at the moment, but I've started practicing now, so I'm getting to Netherworld once a fortnight, maybe once a week if I have the extra time, but definitely once a fortnight. Rolling in early, Jimmy's agreed to let me in to jump on Gallagher and just push out for these scores. Just play these scores while it's empty, which is great because sometimes when I get to Netherworld, I can be an hour on a game of Gallagher, and I'll get the feeling someone's walking past. They might want to play it. They might be there for lunch, and they're like, "This guy just sitting on Gallagher. Fuck this guy. what a jerk. How many credits does this guy put in to be sitting there all this time?" So I'm very pleased that Jimmy would let me in like before hours to smash out these scores.
Absolutely.
Um,
Hey to Jimmy if you're listening as well.
Yeah, cheers, man. Jimmy at Netherworld, you're a bloody legend.
Yeah, for sure.
It's,
Are you playing on tournament setting or are you playing on marathon?
These are marathon settings, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So there's free life at 20,000 points, and then free life at 70,000, and then every 70,000 after.
Yep.
I had my first session. Oh, sorry.
Do you have any interest in taking down Phil Day's Australian record of 3.2 million on tournament settings? Is that something you would chase, or kind of any interest there?
If I get to level 256 on the settings I'm playing now, I should be able to have an okay run at Phil's Australian settings for sure. Phil's Australian score.
Yeah.
And on rank D, whatever settings he was on.
Yeah, for sure. That's cool.
Wow.
Yeah,
it's still a huge score for me.
That could be like another interim goal to achieve as well during the score chasing.
Definitely.
So it's been that. Yeah, I've been jumping back onto Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 speed running again just recently.
Cool.
I'm sure some of our listeners and viewers are aware that we've got BPAC coming up in Brisbane in July 16th to July 25th. One of those days is at One Up Arcade in Morningside for the 1 credit clear day. And I'm just trying to get my skills back together on Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 so I can run credit clear the machine, and then possibly also do a speed run on top of that if I'm having a good day and the RNG is being nice to me when I get to Mataro as the second last enemy.
Yeah, right. So he's the cock block, is he usually for a run?
That's it. It's funny. Like you'll see the runs, all the recorded runs on YouTube are like they just go through Mataro super easy. But when you get to him and you're having a crack at him, his RNG is so varied that you can never catch him in the same sequence once. He'll do a strange block or a strange projectile, and there's nothing you can do. Like you just have to take it. You just have to take the damage, and if you don't get back to a flow with him of taking damage off him, he'll just throw something else in, and you've lost 2 rounds in a row, and you just have to restart. So,
wow, jeez.
So it's good. Just get back into the feel of it, because even like the regular people you play against, the regular enemies, there's sort of 2 styles where they have a small hitbox or a large hitbox, and some of the female characters have a different sort of hitbox as well. So you got to attack them in a speedrun style differently with different attacks, so they don't evade attacks or they don't break out of repetitive attacks that the other people can't break out of.
Wow. Okay.
So it's just remembering those sorts of little rules as I go through learning the speedrun style again. Yeah. So
yeah, right. And Mataro, as well as like a big centaur, isn't he? Or
Yeah,
something
huge.
similar like that. So
Yeah.
takes up half the screen if he's what I
Yes.
remember from last time I played MK3, which is
Yeah.
a while ago now.
And his hits are so powerful. It's like Kintaro and Goro in MK1 and 2. Just every hit is just like a third of your health bar. Just
Is
like
that where is he the one that like does that punch sort of like Goro and it like takes out half your gauge? Is that what he does, or does he do some like tail attack or something?
Yeah, he does a big tail sweep, which is like half the screen is just tail sweep, so it's hard to escape. And he'll
Ouch.
also do so if you're into him starting to do some punches and he's blocking it, he'll just unblock and then grab you and throw you, and there's no way out of it. Like you just get stuck there. You're gonna it's frustrating, but it's fun at the same time when you're trying to make the RNG work in your favor, which is RNG.
Just games.
That's it. That's it. But yeah, I don't know. Outside of those two, that's been sort of the main focus recently. But I've in the sort of newer gen of consoles, I've been playing a little Battlefield 5 on PS4, which has been pretty good. With World War II Battlefield game.
Cool.
Right.
Yeah, lots of fun.
Yeah, with actual graphics, like
Yeah. not like the 15K sort of powerhouse.
My thing ran out.
Yeah.
So re-downloaded what we thought was the free Battlefield 5 complete game. Turns out it was just like I think maybe a 20 or 30 hour subscription to it. So I sort of got into playing that probably once a week for about 2 or 3 hours, maybe 4 hours a week, even, just like 1 or 2 sessions across here and there. And yeah, got into it. It was cool. I was getting some kills and dying a lot, like you do in those sort of games. But yeah, then the subscription is like, you've got 15 minutes left the other night. I was like, 15 minutes? What's going on here?
What is this? Yeah.
Yeah. And so, yeah, it was just like a trial. But yeah, so that was pretty fun. And yeah, played a bit of Fall Guys, a bit of Tetris 99 recently as well on Switch for 3.
Yeah, just like nasty.
Taking turn for turn. It's yeah, we had some good placings in the weekend. I got a 13th and we got a 14th as well. So we had some pretty good runs.
Nice.
That's great. That's really good.
So we're probably doing that about once a week as well, Tetris. And also jumped back onto good old Puzzle Bobble on the Super NES.
Hey.
Playing on the PS1 Classic on the emulator, SNES emulator. Cool. And it's great 2-player. It's a lot of fun. You can set the handicaps as well, so you can have like pretty even games depending on whose skill levels where. And
because the bubbles you pop go onto the other person's screen or something, don't they? Or,
yeah, they do.
That's
and there's certain power. And when you play single player, if you want to do co-op single player, there's like power ups in the bubbles. So one of the power ups is like a waterfall will come down of colors, and it changes all of them to one color. And yeah, it's cool. Yeah, there's some cool little power ups in it that you don't get in regular Puzzle Bobble.
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, and then I also pulled out R-Type on the original Game Boy, which I'm just playing a little bit every now and then. It's still hard as nails, but it's just a fun little challenge every now and then, just to see how far I can get. I rarely make it past level 1, so it's like a 2 or 3 minute speed run blast in the toilet, and that's about as far as I get. Sometimes into level 2, but just trying to get to level 1 with all your weapon power ups without dying, it's hard.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
it's tough little game. So yeah, that's pretty much the roundup of gaming in my life recently. How about yourself, Neil? What have you been getting into, Neil?
Yeah, well, the last time I was on the podcast, we had one of these sessions. I had been into Netherworld for 2 failed attempts at Ghosts and Goblins. So after reviewing those games and talking to some people, I took the board over to Adam to get the ROM set that I was used to change it from the ROM set that was in there to the US ROM set that I was used to playing. So I did that, and Adam's got the ability to burn ROMs, so he pulled out all the ROMs that we required, put in the new ROMs, and yeah, so I had another session at Netherworld, and yeah, got the world record, which was really cool. It
Woo!
yeah, it,
Legend.
yeah,
Man.
thanks. It took me another 6-hour attempt at it, but I was feeling much more comfortable that day. Just having the monsters behavior the way that I'd expect them to was much easier. I didn't die on the dragon at all, where the previous days the dragon was very painful to deal with the pattern that he was producing. So yeah.
So how long was your actual world record run? How long was that single game?
It's a bit over an hour, I believe. So about hour 15 or hour 10. So yeah, it was just trying to get the right run takes a long time. But yeah, we got there at the end, and I just made it over the line. I only beat the record by like about 1,000 points or something. It wasn't too impressive in regards to how much I beat it, but yeah, it got the score that I needed.
New world record, mate.
Yeah,
That's
man.
it.
Yeah, thanks.
Legendary.
Yeah, so that's that chapter over and done with, which is a bit of a strange feeling. I was saying to a couple of people after doing it that the high lasts for a couple of days, and then all of a sudden you hit with like this bit of feeling of emptiness because you've been working on a goal for so long, and now that goal isn't visible anymore and not on your mind. Lucky I've got the Australian Kong Off coming up, which is something that I'm super interested in. So I've been practicing that at the moment. So had a game this week of 580,000, which is close to my PB.
Whoa!
So I was pretty happy with that.
Awesome, mate. That's really good.
That's a big run. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks,
big
guys.
Numbers.
I found it really frustrating to get back into because while I was playing Ghosts and Goblins, I never played Donkey Kong. I shouldn't say that. There was a couple of games I had, but nothing too serious. So I found it really frustrating because I needed to learn the ropes again a little bit. So I was a bit frustrated that my game had slided backwards, but obviously like things are like I'm starting to feel a lot more comfortable. I'm comfortable on those boards again. So I've been getting a couple of 400s. I had the 580 game, and I think I've had another 500k game. So feeling pretty good. Would love to get a kill screen before the Kong Off, but I don't think it'll happen. But yeah, we can always dream.
How many days until Kong Off is it, Dennis?
22, maybe 22 days. I think not
soon.
very long.
Yeah,
not so long.
Dennis has created a little time tracker for the event. So
it's
the big countdown.
Little countdown thing on like timeanddate.com. You can go in and create a countdown for anything, and it gives you a little hyperlink. And so I shared that on Discord and also on another Facebook group that we're a part of. And yeah, just nice to sort of check in every now and then and have a look and see how much longer we got to go. I think everyone's pretty amped about it, and yeah, mate, I can't wait. It's just long time coming. I'm just want to get into it. Yeah. Wish it was starting tomorrow, but
same.
So one thing I forgot to mention, something I did was I re-broke the score on MAME for Ghosts and Goblins as well, because the score that I got originally that I recorded for MAME was lower than the arcade world record, and I wanted it to be higher than the previous owner of the world record. So I scored 1.8 1.2 or 1.3 million on MAME. So I'm going to submit that, and we'll get that adjudicated
Nice.
shortly. And
Sick.
um,
2 world records in one, eh?
That's
yeah. So
fantastic.
I've already got the main one, but it's just a bit lower than the one set by for arcade by the previous world record holder. So I thought I'd
So
up the ante on it.
want them both up there, and yeah, I can understand that. That's really cool, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So, but I'm done and dusted now. So
Yeah.
Well, you say that now, but
yeah, for sure. I don't have the same kind of like it's a game that I could easily go back to. I feel like I'd be
don't
happy.
have that burnout, do you?
No, not yet. So like
Yeah, nice.
I'm actually looking forward to going to Netherworld and just playing some Ghosts and Goblins without any kind of pressure on myself, and just enjoying the game.
That's really rare. That's really rare to get that, because like I know that when you're pushing really hard and you're trying to go for a world record on a game, it's pretty easy to bust your hump and just never really want to play the game, like if not for a while, if at all. Like I kind of feel like that with Double Dragon, that with the game modes and the stuff around Double Dragon at that point, it did sort of tucker me out a little bit from playing that game. And it's really it's great to hear that you're not in that position with Ghosties, and that you're more than happy to sit down and have a casual game of it, which is really cool, man. And it's good that it doesn't sort of ruin it for you, and it means it still frees you up to continue to chase those in the future as well.
Yeah,
So,
it's
legendary.
Yeah, it's exciting because I was the same with you with Wonder Boy.
That's right.
It's been a game that I haven't been able to pick up again. It was one of the games for Game of the System. It
was Game of the Month.
Game of
one
the
month. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Then I was tempted to go back and play it, and I think I turned it on one night and went to play it again, and I was just like,
I can't do this.
it was at a point where I was really close to breaking these world records for Ghosts and Goblins. And it was at a point like even like just turning it on and feeling like going to play it again, I felt like the sudden dread of playing Wonder Boy again. So I quickly put that away and thought that it's best for me to just focus on what I'm doing with Ghosts and Goblins. So
the amount of information in your brain, Neil, that was previously there for Wonder Boy has just been pushed out by Ghosts and Goblins.
Exactly.
Like it's just the way it is. You've learned a whole new way of playing a different game.
Yeah, for sure. So something that exciting that happened this month. I've been talking to, when I broke the world record for Wonder Boy, I actually reached out to Raiichi Nishizawa, who is the actual creator of Wonder Boy, and we got chatting and whatnot over the last few years. It's been really nice to kind of talk to him about the game and things like that. But he actually sent over some stuff for me that I sent it over for him to get signed, and after 2 years, it's finally come back.
Man.
Oh wow!
So I took these flyers, or what do you call it? The front prints,
the inserts
inserts of the Sega Master System games, and got them signed.
That's awesome.
So I got he wasn't director of all of them. He only directed the first one, but he still had a big part to do with the other 3 games. So I got them all signed.
And are they the inserts from the Master System games that you own?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so I've got some really cool copies there. So I've got that all sorted.
Man.
And I also got a marquee. I sent over a marquee and got that signed as well. So I've got that as well.
That is so cool. Yeah.
And he signed, yeah, he gave me some other stuff. He signed a shirt with all the Wonder Boy characters on it from
Oh.
Uniqlo. So I
Oh,
got that
sweet.
one
man.
sorted.
How
And
good is that?
yeah, he also sent over this, which is a part of his new game, which I'm failing to remember what it's called. But yeah, he pulled out a new game.
You'll remember when we finish the podcast, and you'll be
Yeah,
like,
that's
"Oh, yeah,
right.
that's the game."
I'll put a link to it or something. But yeah, he sent me that one as well. So yeah, I was absolutely cool with that. Like I said, it's been a long time coming.
That's great.
Man, that's
felt-
fantastic.
Yeah, it's awesome here. He felt really kind of like he was a bit shy about doing it all. I suppose just culturally, he like he felt very humbled by my request. So he said that's why it took so long to get sorted. But yeah, glad to have it back, and yeah, we'll definitely hang it up or put it in a light box or something to display.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
so that's been something nice. But yeah, I think that's it for me, guys. So yeah, that's all I've been up to. So one of the topics that we have on for tonight is the One Up birthday. So One Up had its 4th birthday, which is like One Up Arcade. Not the terrible mini cabs that you can get. But yeah, so I think we were all there for that event. There was a couple of new games out on the floor. I believe Karnov was one of them, which was just taking the internet by storm.
Don't think I'm familiar with that game. That doesn't ring a bell.
Man, it's wacky. I don't know. Feels like Yaya Kung Fu mixed with Mario Brothers 2. That's me.
Dodgy Russian Tonma, basically. It's Russian hero Tonma.
Well, yeah, a few people have gotten the bug. I'm one of them. I'm happy to put my hand up with that. We are trying to spread the word of Carnovian people, and hopefully we can turn some people to playing some Karnov. John Tannehill and I have come up with a great carnival idea for the next BPAC. So yeah, we might be lining up to 16 Karnov arcade machines instead of Donkey Kong, but we'll see how that goes. But,
oh shit!
But yeah,
there'll be a Kong off and a Karn off. That'll be fun. Man.
Do you guys know what else happened? I know that there was a couple of like 16-1 games that were released, which was really good for One Up in regards to 80s kind of games. And
yeah, so one thing I do know, and it might not be sort of too well known, but I know it's something that the owner Steve is actually looking into expanding a lot more, which is into the classic gaming lineup as well. So I think One Up's core strength has typically been in fighters and 90s classic games, which has been really perfect for me because that's what I grew up playing the most and I know really well. And so yeah, it was a very special place to me, just particularly for those things. But it's great to hear that there will be the expansion into that sort of into that part of the arcade gaming scene that we all sort of know and love so much. That there have been some fantastic games in the 1980s period as well, and so to see those expanded into dedicated cabs is going to be really cool. And I think another thing about it is like the visual appeal of like all of the 80s cabs. Like, I mean, just look at Netherworld as an example, like the arcade room out the back where the stage and everything is, and the lineup of the classic cabs. Like, it's one of the things that I love about going to Netherworld the most is going in and looking at that lineup. It just looks wild, and so yeah, I'm really hoping that that sort of pops up sometime soon. There will be a bit of that at One Up progressively, I guess, as Steve's able to acquire them, because the original cabs in Australia not as easy to come by as in the States, where I see like postings on Facebook groups, and they're available all the time for like 400 US. I'm like, oh man, it's the worst. So yeah, mate, there is that. Apart from that, during One Up's birthday, apart from the release of those cabs, there was also the One Up Gamer of the Year that was announced as well for 2021, and none other than Mr. James Morris was announced as the Gamer of the Year for 2021. So, James, if you're listening, matey, again, congratulations, and yeah, dethroned me as the Gamer of the Year. So I was 2020 when the arcade wasn't open. So
No, that's a really awesome feat and well deserved, James. I know
absolutely,
that
man.
you've been smashing it at is it 1979 or 1978?
Yeah, Nam.
Oh,
Yeah, Nam.
yeah. 1975. Yeah.
75.
75,
Yeah,
75. Apologies. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's been smashing it at that. He's also been
notoriously hard game.
yeah,
well,
sure. And yeah, just a regular on the Arcade Wars lineup as well, James.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
yeah, well done.
And Battle of the Arcades 2021 overall best player as well.
Yeah,
Yes.
wow, what a month for James.
That's monstrous month of hardcore.
Busy times. Yeah, busy
gaming.
times for old JM. Smashing it.
Yeah, so yeah, and do you know if there's any new games on the floor?
Yeah, RoboCop was released as well.
Oh shit! Yeah.
So I had many games of that.
How'd it go? Yeah, it was fun.
It's awesome. I love the sound effects in RoboCop. They're the best. Like just the shooting and like the noise that all of the baddies make when you take them out and whatever. It's just funny, man. It just brings back so many memories. Just like listening to those in like either pubs or recreation centers or arcades and places like. Cause I have seen a couple of RoboCops out in the wild when I was a bit younger, and yeah, it just sort of brought the memories flooding back, man. So it was cool to see that there, and great that it's going to be in the permanent lineup, right alongside Karnov, of course.
Lovely. Yes. So I'll be seeing a lot of RoboCop as I play Karnov.
I'll be looking at it with my back to it, because yeah, you'll be playing Karnov the whole time. So
I remember watching the original. I think it was the original movie. It was one of the RoboCop movies. It's actually a scene in it where they've got this person putting on sunscreen, but because the sun was so hot in the future, like they had to use like some like ridiculously
blue sunblock or something or whatever it is. Yeah.
Now I might be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure that the sunblock wasn't that much higher, or it might have even been one that's out already in regards to how strong it is. Like it was like I'm pretty sure it was 50 plus, which we're already using in Australia.
Yeah, that's what we need here. Yeah,
I love those movie moments that come back and bite them. So yeah, so besides the new cabs out and James winning just another trophy, 2021 for James. It was just great to see so many people out and about at One Up.
Yeah.
So they had like a bit of like a hot dog stand at the front.
That's right. Food truck rocked up, and that kept us all sated for the time that we were there, which was great. So I think that it's cool that you actually mentioned that, mate. The One Up, I believe, had their biggest turnout ever for single attendance in the arcade for that day. So
nice.
Yeah, it was great to see everybody coming out and celebrating the arcade. It's a truly underrated place to go and spend your time, and yeah, good to experience. So,
and the lucky door prize as well.
Yeah.
That was quite an amazing lucky door prize.
Yeah, that game pedestal that Steve had squirreled away. You got to hand it to Steve. He's always got a surprise up his sleeve, man. Like I talk to Steve pretty often, and I've got an idea of stuff that's coming up and whatever. But he's still always got something, and the door prize was that One Up Arcade branded game pedestal. not to be associated with the other terrible brand before the.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like a
in
four-player.
my opinion, yeah,
So
four-player game pedestal.
HDMI to your TV. It has like thousands of arcade games built in. You can play them in 4-player.
Yeah, upscaler and everything. So all you really needed was a TV to connect to the other end of your HDMI cable, and you're good. So
You've
pretty
got-
awesome.
Yeah.
So someone snared that, which was really good. And I think it was actually a newcomer first time going to the arcade. So I'd wager that he's probably going to be coming back as well after picking up the lucky door prize. So congratulations to him as well. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. So just last of all, shout out to Stephen. Congratulations, 4 years, mate. And I can't believe it's been that long.
Yes.
Yeah, even Netherworld, like I suppose it's just a bit younger than Netherworld, not that much. So
Only a few months, mate. Yeah. Netherworld, Pincadia, One Up, all sort of within, I want to say, almost within 6 months of each other, all sort of opened up separately.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing. Like everyone just went, you know what, 2017, this is when it's going to happen, and everyone just separately went bang, 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 and opened all of their venues. So really good for nerds like us.
And also, like 2020, they were pretty much shut down, all of them,
I know,
for almost a year because of COVID, and they still kept going after that. It's amazing to see they could do that.
I'm so happy for it as well, and I think a lot of our friends in the scene around here feel exactly the same. And we really appreciate everything they do for us to keep us all sort of entertained and doing what we love as well, which is coming into these venues and playing the games, setting scores, getting world records, Neil, as well. And
well done to Stephen for all of the effort he's done in keeping that place open. Well done, man.
Agreed.
Just a quick note, our sponsor Spacies, they've recently picked up a genuine Gyrus machine. You might have seen that on the internet, but
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah,
nice.
Pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
It looks super neat. So if you're in Toowoomba and if you're keen to see some awesome genuine hardware and play some Gyrus, some of the best arcade music you'll ever hear, definitely jump by and grab yourself a feed and go see John and Jerry in there and play some Gyrus.
One thing I didn't actually realize, I think I've been mispronouncing that game wrong for my whole life. I thought it was Gyrus, but I may be mistaken. I didn't realize it was actually pronounced differently.
We need to have a whole separate podcast episode about pronunciation of video game names, video game companies' names.
We need a compendium of the right pronunciations of everything, because everything from Gallagher to Gyrus, I'm pretty sure that I say everything wrong.
Sega, oh my god, it's
Sega or Sega. Like when we had John on, and he kept saying Sega, and I sort of kept thinking to myself, oh, well, I've always said Sega. And am I wrong?
Australia has its own version of the way we say these words.
Yeah, apparently we do.
It's just the way it is.
Well, Phil Day held the world record for Gallagher, and he used to call it Galaga. So
Galaga. That's right.
So tomato.
Yeah. Something that's probably worth of note as well, Neil, was that I didn't realize, but until Spacies put up a post mentioning this, that there's actually a special controller that is in the Gyrus pad. Apparently the hardware is sort of unique to the cabinet for the joystick control for the game. Do you know anything about that at all, or
so
elaborate?
When you're playing Gyrus, you're literally playing a spaceship that is on the circumference of the screen. So
you go around in a circle. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So the controller never needs to be in the middle of the control pad. So it actually has a controller. I don't fully understand it, but it literally just rotates around yeah, so it's got like a certain amount of micro switches, maybe, or something like that. But yeah,
Oh.
the control pad is completely different to what you would usually see on any other arcade machine. So
Oh,
yeah,
man,
you
that's
can
amazing.
never actually center the control,
Yeah, I
the
think
controller.
I think I heard it was like 64 micro switches. Is that possibly
It may
correct?
be, yeah.
And like you can scroll to one of 64 places around the joystick can go, where you'll be on the screen in one of 64. Regular joystick 8-way. If you were doing top left, you're going to go top left. But if you go top left and then to the very top, you're going to be missing on an 8-way joystick. You're going to be missing a few micro switches, quite a few apparently, between top left and top. So you can't stop at that certain exact point while you're using the joystick, unless you stop touching the joystick at the motion point when you're reaching those points. But
yeah. Definitely, we're probably not doing it justice, but we'll definitely get Don on to talk about it a bit more. But yeah, the premise is you can't actually center the control stick, because why would you don't need to. So it's literally on like a rotate circle kind of thing. So yeah. So we'll jump into our last topic for tonight, which was talking about kind of different gaming content that's out there that you guys are interested in, or what you listen to. So it could be anything from other podcasts or YouTube channels, or anything like that. Dennis, I might start with you. What else do you kind of listen to or watch?
There's a few things that I sort of tend to dabble with and listen to or am involved in. One of the major ones, of course, is I mention almost every episode is our mates at Game the System podcast, and so they actually have their own Game the System Discord, and so I'm a member of the Game the System Discord and spend a bit of time on there. Good bunch of folks, always talking about anything sort of retro arcade gaming, even pinball, board games, and all sorts of cool stuff. And so, yeah, there's always something interesting to talk about or to hear about, which is great. Another Discord that is worth mentioning as well is Ben Banasic's Discord, which is the Game Center as well, which is very sort of heavily oriented around Ben's stores as well. But there's also quite a lot of knowledge around gaming and sort of I'm not into it so much, but more like Magic the Gathering kind of stuff, and Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon and all that sort of fun stuff. And I know there's tons of people that are interested in that stuff. It was just, I think it was a little after my sort of experience with that, but another good Discord. But yeah, apart from that, I spend my time on the Kong League Discord as well. So again, Kong League, as one would expect, is anything related to something like Kong, whether it would be Donkey Kong Jr., Donkey Kong 3, or Crazy Kong is another one as well, which is sort of a mention. Even anyone that's crazy enough to play Crazy Kong or any of the other variants of Donkey Kong out there as well. There are a few. They're sort of the main Discords that come to mind, and I do apologize if I've missed a server for somebody. Apologies in advance. But yes, Twitch as well. I follow people that play Donkey Kong, and usually that's as a part of Donkey Kong Forum. So they have a list of people who stream on DKF, and so you get your name added to the list, and whenever you're online, it's flagged on DKF as the active streamers, and so you can go and watch them. And so I've just been following a few people there, and mainly people like Lyriel, Matt Tecchio on Twitch. So hey, Matt, mate of the show and all around good guy, and very much probably planning on putting in a decent effort at Kong Off in 2022 days time.
Sure.
Yeah. So I watch Matt and assorted others, and There's another gentleman, which is sort of I learned through Game the System podcast, a bloke who plays Dungeons and Dragons games and any other sort of medieval games like Rastan and whatever. His channel is Bardic Broadcasts, and he sort of he's got like this shtick of like talking like a medieval kind of dude while he's playing these games. It's just like him playing these games and all the people that comment and like, "Hail, oh Sir Bard, welcome," and it's like it's
Yeah,
pretty
right.
awesome.
Cool.
It's freaking hilarious, man. Geez, I don't want to harp on too much, but there was a couple of other things that just they completely escaped me right now. Maybe if you kick off, Neil or Mike, and I'll
Yeah,
sort of-
Mike. Yeah. What have you got down on your list?
Yeah. So like as usual, it's just what comes to mind, and what I've been listening to the last couple of months, last couple of years, possibly, or consuming, whatever. The first one I'm probably going to mention is a magazine called Retro Gamer Magazine. That's been my biggest, I don't know, information gathering. I don't know.
It's your nexus of information.
Content. Yeah. I haven't been reading for a couple of months, maybe even a year now. But I've bought it, subscribed to it since about 2009 or so when I found it. I think it might have been 2008. Yeah, I found it in when we were living in London. And
cool, man.
Yeah, I walked into a HMV. They had when the HMV was in Piccadilly Circus, and they had a massive racket of magazines. I was like, oh yeah, some gaming stuff. I'm like, retro game? I'm like, are you serious? So I picked it up. I'm like, it's the Super Star Wars on the front, and I'm like, how is there a magazine about the stuff that I like when I literally I know no one that likes what I like.
Yeah.
In terms of like gaming, yeah. So since then I've subscribed, and I've been following the whole magazine, and they interview a lot of people, and they do a lot of in-depth like how games are made. They talk to the teams. They talk about what it was like back in the 80s or the 90s or the early 2000s about when they were making these games, and it's awesome. They do like what is it, like their future retro classic, and they'll talk about a game that's maybe 5 or 6 years old, but they talk about it as if it's going to be a classic in 10 years time. They say why and what was unique about it and things. It's an amazing magazine. But yeah, then I'll probably off to YouTube after that is where I got the next set of my like classic gaming content, was where I found the next. I didn't know where else to look. Basically, I wasn't listening to podcasts at the time. I wasn't searching other places on the internet. Retro Gamer also has a great forum. I think it's retrogamer.co.uk. You jump in there. The forums are awesome. Very knowledgeable people. Very UK centric as well. So a lot of Sinclair ZX Spectrum, a lot of Amstrad CPC, a lot of, as well as everything else that we had in Australia, like Mega Drive, Super Nintendo, GameCube, all those sorts of things.
Yeah. Right.
But yeah, in YouTube, first ones that come to mind is My Life in Gaming. Two guys from America that run an amazing, almost documentary-like YouTube channel. They delve very heavily into the audio-visual side of gaming as well. So I know John Tannehill is a massive fan of these guys and their output. They'll break things down into scan lines, into PVM, BVM monitors, versing the latest upscaler for your TV to see what it compares like against an upscaled version, or the latest port of a game that has a CRT filter, and how that would compare to like it being played on a PVM or a PVM, like a professional video monitor where it's just CRT only compared to your HDTV. They get very deep into their AV stuff. They also just love old games, and they'll talk about old games all day long and have a lot of fun, and just lots of info. Yeah, very in-depth. They talk to a lot of the developers in the modding scene as well for retro gaming world. So including the upscalers, but also like EverDrive cartridges, custom homebrew cartridges, like homebrew games, the whole load of whatever's cutting edge in the classic gaming scene. very, very console orientated, not as much arcade, but still, it's awesome to watch. Lots to learn. My life in gaming, yeah, all this stuff is a lot of fun.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and also on YouTube, I'd be watching GameSack as well. GameSack is another two dudes from America. They would be reviewing a lot of games. They review their main thing is reviewing games, basically all classic games. Sometimes remade or new made homebrew games, or current gen released games made for the old consoles. They're pretty good. And some of the English stuff, I really love the English stuff too. So RMC The Cave, it used to be called Retro Man Cave. This guy, he's an awesome dude. Lots of great classic computer content. I think he used to work for PC companies as well, so he's very knowledgeable about how the PCs are, how they were modified, and he gets pretty deep into that, which is something I've never delved into PC worlds at all, really, in the past, and now never. So great stuff. RMC The Cave. He's just recently bought himself a new location for his YouTube channel, and it's in an old mill above, and it's like set above a creek or a pond. It's like a stone double triple story mill, and he's got a whole level of it to himself, which he's making a retro computer museum.
Oh wow!
With the help of his Patreon supporters, to be an exhibition space, to be like a museum that you can visit. You can go and play games and see these old things, and it's he's amassing.
That's wild, man. That's really cool.
Amassing a huge collection.
Wow.
So another English dude, Nostalgia Nerd, is another guy I watch on YouTube quite often. He's also kind of PC sort of like this bit of retro PC centric as well, but he's also big into all consoles and games too. So another great guy. Lots of funny content, lots of interesting stuff. Stuff like in Australia we wouldn't have heard of half the stuff the guys in the UK got. So it's another eye opener into their world and how they had games, how they played games, how they swapped games with their friends, and great little channel. A lot of fun.
Sounds awesome.
What else we got? I've been watching Nostalgia Nerd. I think it's his girlfriend or his wife. Octavius King is a YouTube channel at the moment. She also does recaps on old games, and she does a lot of reviews of just games that she's enjoyed or games she's found interesting as well. She's great fun to watch and great fun to listen to. The editing they use is it's funny stuff, and just a whole bunch of games you've never heard of before, stuff you can learn about. And then into podcast world, which I only really started listening to podcasts in the last 4 years or so. The first one I got onto was one of the American ones. I forgot the name of it. It was one of the big ones. Jeremy Parrish heads it up to use Retronauts. All right, Retronauts.
Oh,
so I looked up retro gaming podcasts. We had Retronauts. That was awesome. Good for a while. I started to get a bit it was very heavily Famicom, Super Nintendo, American centric. So I sort of started to move away from it because it wasn't so relevant to me. I got into Collector's Quest, which is Johnny Aiuchi and oh my God, I've forgotten his co-host's name. It's so long ago. Yep, that was also a great one. They were both collecting for complete NES sets.
Oh wow!
In America. Yeah. So it was about them just going through how they are collecting and what they're playing, and they were loving the new Nintendo content like the Switch and the Wii U, as well as collecting their NES collection and building it up to what they can be. And then after that, I got into the Australian classic retro gaming, which I'm not sure if there was many others. It was called Retro Domination, and our buddy Darren Borg was one of the co-hosts in it.
Sure was. Hey Daz, thanks for listening.
Big up to Darren, big up to Retro Domination too. It was an awesome podcast, and I think I listened to the whole thing. I'm not even sure if they're still going, but I urge anyone who's into retro stuff, especially on the Australian side of things, to jump onto Retro Domination. Absolutely awesome. And that is also then how I rolled into the Arcade Perfect podcast, which is run by Darren Borg and Sean Tagg. And that was just like, especially with the current arcade scene that has been so heavy in Australia since 2016, the classic arcade scene, just to get these guys' views on how the home ports delivered against the actual arcade counterparts back in the day when those guys were playing them.
Very interesting.
It's awesome. They cover so many home micro ports, home console ports of arcade games, and it's also a lot of fun that they work so well. That they actually finished up, so they worked so well together. Everyone is just like praying they get back together and and do some more episodes. But it's up to them.
Yeah, we actually had Sean Tagg as one of our guests on.
Of course, yeah.
We're doing a bit of a few episodes on the lead up to the Australian Kong Off, and Sean Tagg was one of our guests, and we got the chance to congratulate him on an awesome podcast. So just once again, congrats.
And great series.
They were actually one of the first. They gave us a shout out when we were just getting started. So much appreciate that, Darren.
Very much. Yeah. And the last episode was only maybe 2 or 3 months ago, even. And I remember listening to it I was riding my bike on the way to work, and I was getting emotional. It was after following for so long, listening to all of their podcasts, and it just oh man, like you could hear it in their voices. Like it was it was a strangely emotional time to see their sort of their baby come to an end. Their whole project.
It was a good thing, and I think that it was right the time for them to make the call when they did. I reckon.
For sure.
Especially after talking to Tagster, it seemed like they'd had a great run and put together some really good content, and I think they were both happy to sort of just, if anything, even just put it on a hiatus, shelf it. For the time being, and
so that was probably the podcasty stuff I've got into, apart from Game the System, and I've been following the Game the System podcast for as long as I've known about it, probably a couple of years now, and that's been awesome to listen to those guys too. They have a great time doing it, and it's just so much good information coming out of them. I love it.
Sometimes it's good information.
Great topics. The Commodore 64 episode, man, I love that one. Episode 64.
Well, we've actually got something in line for BPAC. Hopefully, we've got something exciting to with the Game System guys. So, we'll announce that when that's ready. But it could be exciting times ahead.
Oh yeah. And I think that rounds up pretty much all my gaming consumable content that I've, apart from DVDs and movies, but Bedrooms to Billions is a great DVD / Blu-ray if anyone ever wanted to get a bit of an eye into the 16-bit gaming scene in the UK. During those years.
Cool, man.
Beautiful documentary, very deep, lots of information, really good.
Sweet.
Cool. People might not know about. Bedrooms to Billions, great show.
All right.
And that covers me.
So what I usually listen to is a lot of podcasts just on my commute to work. So that's when I get a lot of my content in. So one of the podcasts I listen to is Game the System when they're on, but we've talked a fair bit about them. But the other one is Pixel Pie Podcast with Scott Tiller. Big shout out to him. He's been great.
Hey, Scott, legend.
Scott's actually had a couple of us on. I know he's had Dennis on. I was on last week, and he's also had Sean on earlier. So, Mike, I'm sure you're not far.
Look out, Mike.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. But he's really cool, really kind of chillax kind of feel being on the podcast with him. Really good job
Yeah, good host. Good host, man. Really good at getting like really great conversation out of people, man. Really recommend his podcast. Definitely.
100%. A lot of his content's in regards to Game Boy modding, which is a huge passion of his. So if you like that kind of stuff, definitely check him out. But it's also just general game, like retro gaming. So yeah, there's something in there for everyone. So yeah, I've been listening to a fair bit of him. When I'm done with him, I usually listen to the Coin Rejects, which is an American podcast about arcade collecting, really.
Yeah, I think I might have heard you mention that. Maybe I've been meaning to get into it, but yeah, keen to know what's it all about then. So just like
Yeah.
about picking like cabs or whatever, or what is it
Yeah,
that
so
they do?
it's about their trading of cabs and also repairing. So they have some great stories of pickups they go to, good and bad, of course. And yeah, it's funny they continually bring up cabs, like they talk about ice cold beer or Tapper, things like that, and their collections are big enough. One of them's always got at least one of them. So yeah, the massive collectors, and they actually get a lot of cabs through their podcast. So people tune in and say, hey, I've got a cab for you if you want it. So yeah, it's very cool to listen to them and their stories. So yeah, definitely tune into them. And that's all I do in regards to podcast kind of side of things. But one show I really enjoy watching on YouTube, it's quite old, but it's called Co-optitude, which is it's a show about Felicia Day and Ryan Day, who they literally pick up games, like just retro games, and they play them together. And it's just watching them pick a new game that they haven't played before, and yeah, just picking it up for the first time and sitting down with because they're brother and sister, so like it's just two siblings playing games together, which is fantastic.
Nice.
So for Felicia Day, she's done a fair few things. I know that she was a part of the musical. Yeah, Dr. Horrible's sing along blog. So it's like a YouTube musical that came out during the writer's strike. What's that? Oh, and she's also in Supernatural, apparently.
Oh,
so
okay.
there you go.
There you go.
Right on. Thanks, Jen.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, a little hint from Jen, who's behind me. So yeah, but yeah, she's a big old nerd, and yeah, she's just the banter between these two playing games, like just an example is like Road Rash or something like that, and yeah, it's really cool to watch. One of the questions we ask when people are on the podcast for the first time is, kind of like talk about their childhood gaming experiences and stuff like that. And I always love hearing the stories about getting a new game with your brothers and sisters and stuff, and yeah, those kind of times are the greatest. So to see them actually come out on screen and these two just like having a great time, yeah, enjoying playing new games or old new games. So yeah, definitely check that out. But yeah,
legendary.
That's it for me.
I just realized I missed out a massive one from my list of YouTubers.
Yeah, go for it, man.
Okay.
Yeah, Angry Video Game Nerd is
right, AVGN.
AVGN. I've had a massive love for his work in the Cinemassacre guys for I don't know, since like 2000 and
he's done a lot.
2010, 2011.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah.
He's done a lot.
Pretty NES centric, but like, man, he is just hilarious in the way James Rolfe plays as the Angry Video Game Nerd. And yeah, he just like tears down shitty NES games and
Savage. Even the ones that are
shitty
good.
video games in general. He just goes like over the top with like classic satirical style. It's
No
he's a
mercy.
hilarious actor. But
Um,
yeah, sorry, I completely forgot about that.
No, I might be wrong, but I think I've seen some of that material. I'm pretty sure he got Macaulay Culkin on one of his shows,
Yeah.
and they did
Yeah,
the
he
Home
did.
Alone video
Yeah.
games. That
One
was
of the
a
more
classic
recent ones, yeah.
yeah. So yeah, so what we'll do
Oh,
is we'll actually compile a lot of these links in regards to these this
Yeah.
content, and make sure that we add it to when we release this cast. So if any of you
Sure.
guys are interested in any of them, yeah, they'll be available for you to check out. I think that's a
Sorry
wrap
for
up.
interrupting. Yeah.
No, all
Yeah,
good.
oh,
All good.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, just one last question, Mike. In regards to your retro gaming magazines, do you still have every copy, or like are they stashed away in a box somewhere? Or
Yeah.
yeah.
I've got to get rid of them.
Oh, really? Oh,
Nah,
Yeah,
keep
yeah.
them. Keep them.
I think I've got over every issue from like issue 60 to like 120 something.
Oh wow. That's cool.
It's just they're heavy. They weigh like 50 magazines weighs a lot, amazingly.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, that's a lot of paper.
yeah.
Man.
man, someone will want. I reckon there would be some people who missed out on one or two or something that would just be dying for those editions.
Oh mate, 100%.
That's it.
Yeah. All right. So I think that's a wrap up, guys. So yeah, thanks for joining me on the cast, Dennis, Mr. Regular now. And
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thanks for joining, Mike. It's good to see you again.
Yeah, cheers, man. Thanks for having me.
All right. Bye.
Cheers,
Bye.
guys. Catch you all later.